It's me, M Black Speaks, back again. Yo, guess who's back? Back again, and I want you to tell a friend about the Vitalize podcast, the place that they are supposed to be. So, you are here with your friendly neighborhood host. I'm Mr. Marcus Black, also known as M Black Speaks, like I just told you. But listen, I'm so incredibly excited, elated, ecstatic, and all the other E words that make sense to let you know that I'm just happy to be here with y'all today and to be back in the flesh with the Vitalize podcast. Man, I'm so grateful, man, to just be here connected. This episode is actually sponsored by the incomparable Rose Records OKC. That is the place where I am, the place that literally brings to you the voice of M Black Speaks, the visual of M Black Speaks. Anything M Black Speaks that you've ever listened to, 99% chance was filmed here in the flesh at Rose Records. So shout out to them. If you could do your boy a favor, go and search and Instagram Rose Records OKC. Give them a follow. Tell them M Black Speaks sent you. And if you have enjoyed the content at all, the audio book, the album, the motivation album, if you ain't know that's a thing, that's out there. Go check it out. It's anywhere. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. If you've enjoyed that, if you've enjoyed my content, my videos, anything M Black Speaks you see, if you enjoy it, go tell him thank you, because he is the man with the master plan that has literally helped make this dream a reality from day one. So thank you. Shout out to you, our incredible sponsor. And I'm excited for the topic we got today. Listen, if you ain't listened to last week, go check that out. I won't spend a lot of time on pleasantries because we here for a good time, not for a long time. If you're listening to this, wherever you like to listen to your podcast, yo, shout out to you. I appreciate you. All my OGs that have been rocking with the Vitalize podcast since season 1. I love y'all. I appreciate you dearly. And I can't wait to shout out some of y'all, man. This season, I just want to give some of y'all some shout outs. So those of you who share the podcast on your Instagram stories, you share clips on your TikTok, share with whoever you want, just let me know you did it. Send me a message on Instagram at MBlackSpeaks. I'm happy to connect. If you're watching this live, because this is a new thing here just for season 5. If you're watching, let me know where you're watching from, man. I want to say hello. I want to connect, and I want to thank you personally for rocking with the Vitalize podcast. And we got some things to talk about today. So if real talk is your vibe, straight up, just real nature, then you found your home. You found your community. If big energy, lots of love, inspiration, motivation is your thing, holla at your boy. You found your community. You found your tribe. Vitalize. What is that? Just briefly, vitalize means to give life to endow with the vital signs of life. Whenever you go to the hospital and they go, what do? They check your vitals. Those are signs that you are living. So in this podcast, we're going to give you the things that you need to truly live life, not just be out here walking dead, not just be surviving, not just be existing, but to be living, and not just to be living, but to love the life that you live. That sounds good to you? You came to the right place, family. So let's tap in. And what I want to talk to you guys today about is something that has been taking the entire internet by storm. And some of y'all gonna already know what I'm talking about as soon as I get into it. But I really want to speak about this because it's something that has had my heart in a chokehold. I mean, I have been so convicted, so inspired by what I'm about to share with you. And that is none other than the human being, the human phenomenon that is Mr. Keith Lee. If you don't know who Keith Lee is, some of y'all was like, oh my God, I love him so much. Some of y'all just jumped out of your seat just at the sound of the name, because you know exactly who that is. But if you don't know who that is, you're going to learn today. And Keith Lee is an incredible human being. He is an MMA fighter. He is a husband. He is a father, among many things. But ultimately, he is a vessel. If he were to tell you himself, Keith Lee would tell you that he is a vessel, and one that is doing the most good right now, all for God's sake, to be able to make a tremendous impact and difference. So what I want to talk to you about today is the Keith Lee effect. What is that? Why does it matter? What does it have to do with you? I found Keith's content on TikTok primarily. If you check him out on TikTok, he literally has I don't know. This guy got almost 10 million, if not more than 10 million followers at this point. And those are just family members for him, people who are supporting his mission, his dream, and his ability to literally make an impact in the world. I found him months before he didn't have 2 million yet. He was much smaller, but he was just a guy who would show up on the internet, and he was a family man that just showed up and did the things he liked. He was able to just talk about food, and he started rating food in places. He's a food critic. He started rating food in places in Vegas. Well, I frequent Vegas. I was there 3 or 4 times last year. I'm going to be in Vegas this year really soon for the Cheer Choice Awards. Your boy been nominated for an award celebrating positive influencers on social media. Shout out to Spread the Cheer USA for hosting the Cheer Choice Awards. I'm super elated and ecstatic to be selected as an official nominee for that award, and we'll see what happens in Vegas. But I knew that I was going to be going back to Vegas because I frequent Vegas. So when I found this guy, he's telling us what to eat in Vegas, and I'm like, God, he making that food look amazing. Listen, you ain't got to look too hard to be able to look at your boy and tell that your boy love food. We doing better this year, though, on healthy, like all in moderation, and but still, your boy love food. So I was watching, and I'm like, man, listening to him describe the intricacies and the flavor profiles. I'm like, dang, that's dope. But then I noticed that if there was something that really wasn't okay, that didn't sit right, that wasn't good, he would speak about that and tell what was missing. Not in a destructive way, but in a constructive way to help those people better their process, better their food, and ultimately create a better customer experience, because a huge part of what he rates is also customer service. So I'm watching this, and I've been watching this for a few months, and I'm just making my list. I've been making my list and checking it twice so that when I go back to Vegas, I'm gonna have to take multiple trips to Vegas to try the restaurants that Mr. Keith recommended. And then there comes a couple of stories to note. There's so many where I saw literal businesses, small businesses that were struggling to keep the doors open, that were struggling to keep the lights on. And we've all been there. If we're honest, I don't care how successful you are, there was a day when you were not. I don't care what your chapter 20 looks like, and you might be a billionaire, but there was a day when you were in chapter 1, and chapter 1 didn't look like chapter 20. And in chapter 1, you were in need of somebody to just see the gift that you had to offer. And we've all know what it feels like to be in that place of struggle, to be in that place of just needing eyeballs, needing help, because we know the dream sometimes requires help and assistance. And that's okay. If you find yourself watching this and your business is in need of help or assistance or coaching or somebody, don't feel bad. You're not alone. We've all been there. And so he would come in and he would not tell anybody who he is. And he would take this food back and present it to his entire huge following and say, this is amazing. The customer service is amazing. Go check it out. And then these people would be slammed with business. And that has only grown exponentially. Like so much so that Keith has recently been on CNN. He's been on all the major media, literal national platforms celebrating businesses that he's changed. And I look at this and I'm so inspired. Because who Keith is, some people consider him an angel. Some people consider him a saint. Some people consider him all these things. But what Keith himself would tell you is that he's a servant. He's just a guy. He's a vessel that is being used to do good in the lives of others with the platform and the resources he's been given. He's literally working with Mr. Beast right now in a collaboration to change somebody's life. One of the recent people that he's impacted was a man who had literally been starting a food truck, said he was making about $100 a day, just enough to survive in Vegas. And after the Keith Lee effect, Keith goes, tries the food. The man is incredible. They have an incredible connection. Keith posts about it. Man receives over $50,000 of business in a week's time. And I hear so many people talking about how negative social media is, how bad the internet is, how toxic the world is, how horrible the internet and the world is. Well, I tell you, I beg to differ. I beg to differ because of people in the world like Keith Lee. And yes, it's about him, but it's not only about him, because for him, for every one of him, there's 100 others in the world who are doing similar things, who are shining a light on other people, who are helping people to become what they're meant to become. And so I celebrate Keith for the example that he sets, that we don't have to use social media to fight frivolously about things that don't really matter. We can all use this gift to celebrate somebody else, to uplift somebody else, to edify somebody else, to make a difference in somebody else's life. And so to you, Mr. Keith, I say thank you. I say thank you to you on behalf of your entire community for showing up and for being the example of what it looks like to be a vessel. By not allowing people to box you in and count the things that the world considers a weakness like social anxiety, but not allowing that to stop you from showing up with your whole gift and showing up with your whole heart. Because the cry is for all of us to do the same. Yes, we're going to celebrate Keith. If I see him in Vegas, I'm giving him a hug. I'm giving you a hug if I meet you, family. But more importantly, the call is for all of us to show up with the gift that we have and make a good and a difference where we are in the community we're in. We can literally be like Keith. The commercial said when I was a kid, I want to be like Mike. There's tons of people now who want to be like Keith. If you don't believe it, go and literally check all of the impersonations that are popping up now. It's because he's inspiring the world. What is it, though? What is it that makes Keith Lee so special? Or the Keith Lee effect so incredibly impactful? I'll tell you. The world resonates with Keith because Keith doesn't pretend to be something he isn't. He doesn't show up behind the fake facade and all of the money and he's a guy that loves his family. He loves his wife and his kids and his sister. And he's a guy that loves people. He's a guy that loves God. He's a guy that loves to make an impact and a difference in the lives of his community. And he's a guy that wants to use his platform to do more good. And that connects with us. It resonates with us. Why? Because honestly, the reason you love Keith so much is because you can see yourself in him. You can see the good in your heart and the desire you have to make a tremendous impact in others. You can see it. You see a reflection of you and what you hope to do. If only you can grow your business and your platform to that point. Guess what? In due season. In due season, what I'm telling you is don't grow weary in doing good because the eyeballs ain't on you yet. Don't grow weary in doing good because the viewers aren't on you yet. The followers aren't on you yet. The brands aren't tackling you yet. Don't grow weary in doing good. Why? Because in due season, it's Keith's season. You don't know the sacrifice this man had to go through. Many of you don't know he was a signed athlete to Bellator and he got cut. He lost the contract. Struggle. Or maybe you do know if you're a real fan because he talks about it. Vulnerability being your superpower. Don't grow weary in doing good because in due season you will reap the harvest. Caveat being, if you don't give up. I made this podcast today to tell somebody, don't give up. Don't give up on doing good because you don't see the eyeballs yet. That's going to come. Let that be a byproduct. Do what you do for the love and not for the likes. Do it for the love, not for the likes. Let the likes be a byproduct. Let the views be a byproduct. No one may never see this. You may never see this. The world may never see this. It might get minimal views. Keith may never see this. And guess what? I'm going to be just as happy because I showed up here today. I poured my heart and soul out and I impacted other people to go and do more good and to not give up in doing good because due season is coming. Somebody in the comments say due season if you feel me. Due season is coming. And you need to put the world on notice that I don't care what happens in my life. I don't care what adversity I face, what I personally go through. I ain't never quitting as long as my heart is beating, because I know due season is coming. Because M Black Speaks told me. And I want you to know, in order for you to reach due season, you got to show up with the gift. You got to put the gift on the table. And then you have to watch God multiply. Much like, and listen, I know this probably be listened to people of all faiths. That's cool, man. I am not trying to convince anybody to believe like me. But please, if you just extract the principle from the story I'm about to tell, if you don't believe like me, because that's cool. Peep this. In the Bible, there's a story where Jesus feeds a multitude of people. And in this multitude of people that he is feeding, he literally, I'm talking thousands of people. He shows up and they're hungry. And his disciples, what is a disciple? That's his students. The people closest to him that followed his teaching, that did what he did. He chose them to be close to him so that he could teach them the way. He said to them, all right, guys, we got a lot of people here, a lot of hungry people. We want to make an impact. Listen, guys, there's a lot of hungry people in the world, hungering for positivity, hungering for your gift, hungering and thirsting for what it is that you have to offer. A lot of people. And Jesus asked the question, what do we have, guys? They immediately, oh, Lord, what are we going to do? We don't have nothing. That sound familiar? Jesus asked them again. Okay. Y'all didn't hear me. What do we have? What we got? Lord, oh my God, we don't have nothing. You see all these people? We couldn't feed them if we wanted to. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, Lord, mercy. Jesus is like, yo, I'm going to ask y'all again because y'all ain't hearing me. What do you have? And they went right back to the plight and the problem. And I ask you that question today. What do you have? Are you the person that's been showing up and literally saying, I don't have followers. I don't have the viewers. I don't have the platform. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the access. I don't have. Is that you? And so you go back to the story and Jesus says, I'm going to ask you one last time because y'all don't feel me. What do you have? And they went right back into the same story before finally, in John's account of this story, you can find him saying, there's a little boy that says, I got some lunch. It's sad that people who walked with him every day was questioning what they had. And a little boy said, I got lunch. It's all I got, but you can have it. Oh, snap. Thank you, Jesus finally said. Because somebody answered the question that I've been asking you. I didn't never ask you, what don't you have? Stop telling me what you don't have. This ain't about you. I said, what do you have? And because the goal is to put the gift on the table. When you put the gift on the table, the whole gift, what happened in that story? The scriptures say every person walked away full, and they even had leftovers. Because God did a miracle that day. But the miracle started with obedience, to answer the question, what do you have? And to put the whole gift on the table, because God is a multiplier. Are you going to stop telling me what you don't have? Guess what? When I started this, you see this? Go back and check my track record. Go check my first videos on Instagram. I didn't have this. Go look at season 1 through 4 of the Vitalize podcast. There was no studio and no visual. It grows. My job was not to question what I don't have, but to put the gift on the table. Will you put the gift on the table? That is the question for you today. Will you take what you have? Right now, you might only have a phone and a voice. And will you start sharing your heart and your mission and your goals vulnerably to build a community around that so that you can create impact in the world? Will you do that? Because that is literally the Keith Lee effect. If you watch his content to this day, It's not overly produced. It's about to be. He got some TV shows lining up now. Things are lining up. But it's him in his kid's Paw Patrol chair in the home, just the camera phone, sharing his heart and soul and shining light on families and businesses who need help and watching their entire lives change. Keith Lee and the Keith Lee effect is a gift. Why? Because he chose to put his gift on the table. He didn't always have millions of followers. He didn't always have resources and money. He didn't always have that. But what he had was a heart to make an impact. What he had was a desire to use his gift to do more good. What he had was a will to show up and do it for the love. And then the byproduct of doing that was what you've seen now. It's literally the reason we're having this conversation. So my challenge to you, be a Keith Lee. Not himself, but be a vessel. My challenge, show up with the gift. My challenge, put it on the table. My challenge, stop questioning your greatness. My challenge, stop talking about what you don't have. My challenge is to use what you do have. My challenge is to be you and do it authentically the way that you do it, not the way they're telling you to do it, not the way I do it, not the way Keith does it, not the way anybody does it, but do it the way you do it. Because there's only one you in the entire universe. There will never be another, and there ain't never been one like you. And so that is the gift that you have. That is what separates you. So I'm crying out with my whole heart for you to show up and put your gift on the table and go build something that literally your legacy will continue on forever, and go build something you can be proud of, and go literally build a life that you love to live, because you can. Vitalize. Let's go. I love y'all.